Sometimes it's a good time to get on here, whether I'm sweaty, whether I just got back from a walk or not. When the spirit moves and I feel it, I'm gonna come on here and I'm probably gonna say what I want to say. But this morning I want to talk about real quick before I go any further with this day about this friend that I met. Well, she lives in my building and she's from New York. She's Jewish. And as we got talking, she joined the church. She's LDS. And long story short, she does genealogy. Okay? Now, this genealogy is very, very cool. Okay? It's cool in the fact that she took me back 4 grandfathers. Okay? Now, that's big for Miss Cool. To know who I am, where I'm from, and actually, it's extremely exciting, okay? Being that it's exciting about... Let me get my fan on, okay? Oh, Lord. I have an air conditioner, too, but when I turn this fan on, not to change lanes, they kind of gently blow on this chime, since I don't have a big, gigantic grandfather clock. But they can kind of get loud in the night, too. Even though you can stop the thing going, but I just like the sound of these chimes. I did have them outside, everybody, but I found myself taking them down in storm zone lately. I'll tell you what, we've been getting some really, 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 really strong thunderstorms. So back to what I'm talking about. 4 grandfathers back, this friend of mine went. I had no idea, Paula, if you're listening, I can write you a little letter about it. I hope and pray you are. Yeah, that's another story. So anyway, we went back 4 grandfathers. It's such a beautiful thing, let me tell you what, to know who you are, your DNA, and where you're from. And what you're about. Some different things that are passed on, whether it be art, whether it be, business minds, craftsmen, whatever. It's very interesting. So I found out my mother... There's 2 Paulines. My grandmother's mother was named Pauline. Isn't that beautiful? And when you're young in a Jewish cemetery, at the last moment, you'll see your grandmother. These questions you don't seem to ask. I was overwhelmed with digging into these people. And who they are. And anyway, I'm from Hungary. They're from Hungary, and they're stomping, dancing, free spirits that just like to stomp and dance and sing. And I think to myself, boy, I've had some different feelings about being that way when it's actually in my DNA. It's the culture, where you come from, who you are. I'm not saying that a culture can change your DNA, but what I'm saying is a DNA can produce a culture that fits you just right. So as I go on with my friend that's from New York, the Big Apple, she came into my life. It's overwhelming, the feelings that you feel when you actually are looking at dates and birthdays and names of people that you had no idea were related to you. You never cared. See, the Bible speaks of genealogy about stuff like it's not going to save your soul to do all this genealogy stuff and this and that. But actually, I feel like it contradicts, because when you open the Bible, it says who begot who. I mean, anybody knows that. It's almost annoying. So this person begat that one, and they begot that one, and we just go down this lineage and this bloodline. Well, it is important to know who you are. It is important to do a family tree. It is important to know some of the whys. Why do you feel that way? Why do you do certain things? Could it be? Well, of course it could be. So, they do a chart, and the minute she said pedigree, of course you're going to think of a dog. I did. They even named dog food pedigree. So being that I'm not highly educated or have gone to college or can get down and get in these records, I mean, you can get into some records if somebody in your family, my grandfather was in the service. So then she jumped off of that. So then she went to births. So, I mean, to go as far back as people when they didn't even have a camera. So now you're dependent on, I hope somebody did a painting of them, a portrait, coming from like queens and kings. And I'm related to Queen Isabella. And then you go into the tribes, biblically, what tribe you're from. It just is an overwhelming feeling. Now, I always knew and heard that out of body, present with God. In other words, when people pass away, you can't kill a spirit, all right? And if people know that, I think it could be a different experience and outlook as far as death goes. But these spirits and these souls, I believe you can't kill them because they don't have flesh, all right? You can study it for yourself. You can understand. But you know, I'm going to pray to a God that he keeps revealing these things to me, that I can be humble, that I can be teachable, and that I can learn about where I'm from, these grandfathers, Feldmans, that have been passed down in the generations. Because as a little girl, I was in my grandmother Feldman's house, Matilda. She went by Tilly. I was there with her a lot. But as a child, you don't really think about asking all these questions. So what's wonderful is to know how far you go back grandfather-wise, because they're the men, and the men marry the women, and then they become what the man is, and then they have children. So back to the he begot who and that begot that, and different generations and where you're from and where you are now. So it's been interesting. There's 2 Paulines, like I said. My mother's name was named after my grandmother's mother. And then you go into their last names. And then you can go into doing their line. But basically, I mean, it's overwhelming already that we went back. I think it's 4 grandfathers from Hungary and Austria. And just this part of Europe, you know, this block. Because she taught me about the blocks and different things and where we're from. And so I started thinking, my goodness, we looked up, because I like dancing. And I like just being full of life that way. You have people that are, if you study, there's different types of people that do, that just like, her gift, and I'm going to call it a gift, is just really going into different family trees and going back as far as you can. And the different things that she does, you know. And then finding these things out, birthdays and different things. Well, the cutest thing was, I'm just going to share with you and get off of here, about genealogies and going back about who you are, where you're from, and different names, and, you know, just these places where you're from. I mean, come on now. Where did you get that wavy hair? Where did you get the ability to do different things? Well, it's in your DNA. So anyway, we were watching, she pulled up, I told her I love dancing. And she said, well, let's look at the people from Hungary. So they all had these really cool red boots on, right, you guys? Check it out. I thought, no wonder during my life, I've had a lot of red boots, okay? So here's the latest pair. Would you consider those to be red? Well, yeah, you would. Could I dance in them? Probably. This art and different things that I do, this unusual feelings of, you know, different carpets and feelings. This is in your DNA, folks, okay? People pick up guitars and play them. So you just never know until you get to digging about who you are. So I would encourage you to find out where you're from, who you are, and good morning, Grandma. Good morning. That's me and her. And it's a beautiful day to have spent time with this Jewish woman that I love so much She left quite an impact on me. I love you, Grandma. No wonder I like wearing pearls. Because as a child, you see things, right? So I've got this mason jar just full here of different things. Let my granddaughter come play. But look at the pearls. Look at the pearls. I remember sitting down with her and her letting me go through her jewelry boxes and different things, okay? So, yeah, it's interesting, excuse me. It's interesting that I wondered about things. My grandmother and her sister used to get off the airplane, and boy, were they dressed up nice. Now look at these. Look at these pearls. Okay, I've got everything mixed up in here. I probably need to get in here and clean this out. But those are pearls, right? Do you see these pearls? Everybody knows maybe they're not real. The point is they're pearls. You can rub them on your tooth, and if they kind of like go, they're real. But look what's on her neck. Do you see that? Oh, those are pearls. And I love you, Grandma. Boy, she had a nice clean kitchen, a kosher kitchen. And you know what, Grandma? Today I love you. I'm going to celebrate you. And I'm going to celebrate my mother. And I'm going to celebrate who I am. It's nice to know that there's a God that's leading me down this path. Have a wonderful day. It's Miss Cool. Check out who your grandmothers are and your great-grandmothers and your great-grandfathers and what country they're from and who they are. And you know what? Wear those pearls.